Now, what is CCCB? To understand the CCCB, subheading में CCCB डालिए. To understand the CCCB, you need to understand some business cycle. I told you that, say for example, it's a 0% growth, and initially when we keep on growing, and this is the period we call growth, and then you reach the boom phase, the peak, and then you start to go down, that is the slowdown, and you plunge down to recession, and then you go to a depression, and then you start the recovery process, right? So this is here the growth, this is here, or we call it the expansion. We call it the expansion phase. Then this is the peak phase here. Then this is the slowdown phase here, till you move to 0%. This is known as stagnation here. This is stagnation. And then if you are negative for consecutive 2 quarters, that is called technical recession. And then if you are at depression for consecutive 4 quarters, then that is your depression. And this is the recovery. This is the recovery. Now, what was the smart decision of CCCB? CCCB hai kya? It is countercyclical capital buffer. It is countercyclical capital buffer. Countercyclical capital buffer. Tell me that when in 1929 we were in the United States economy was in a depression, how did we get out of it? How did we get out of it? Exactly, New Deal policy of Franklin D. Roosevelt. That was government intervention, precisely government spending. So can I say that if you are at a lower level, if you are in a recessionary period, if you are at a depressionary period, can I say that more spending, more money, more capital infusion, put you on a recovery period? Yes, more capital infusion will give you more capital infusion, will help the economy to start the engine of growth, right? To revive the demand. And when the demand is revived, by spending a lot of money, the demand would be revived. With a high demand, there will be high supply and production will start, the engine of growth will begin, and then you are on a recovery period. So what you want at this point is a capital inflow. It is a capital infusion. Paisa lagana economy. Now see, उस वक्त तो पैसा किसने लगाया? गवर्नमेंट ने. But what do we want? We want the banking sector to improve. Say for example, we are at this particular phase. इस particular phase में है. मुझे बताइए, will the lending ratio, the lending of the banks, where will it be at the highest level? At point A or at point B? Lending सबसे ज्यादा कहां पर होती है? At lending A. Why is lending high at this point? Because it is the expansion phase of the economy. Expansion हो रहा है, नई investments हो रही है, production बढ़ रही है, economy is at a boom phase. So the banks use all of their capital and they lend out all of their capital, and they keep on giving and keep on increasing the lending. Why? Because the economy is at a boom phase. There is a huge demand for capital. There's a huge demand for lending, and the bank keeps on lending money, and bank has nothing left as capital when the economy plunges down to depression. Depression ke aate aate ya recession ke aate aate, the bank has actually exhausted all its capital. The bank has exhausted all its capital, almost all its capital, or we can say money. This is not a capital that the bank has to keep as a capital adequacy ratio. By capital, I mean money, liquidity. Why? Because you have already been lending at a very high ratio, at a very high rate in this particular boom phase. And when you plunge down to recession, by that time, you have exhausted all the capital. And there is nothing left for you to infuse the capital in the economy. तो आपका capital infusion नहीं हो सकता at this particular level. Why? Because the money has been exhausted in the boom phase. This is where the Basel norm came in. Basel III told us, it gave us an idea that why don't we do one thing? That whenever economy is on a boom phase, that it is on a peak phase, and the economy is growing and expanding, at that particular point, you have to maintain a CCCB of 2.5%. थोड़ा पैसा 2.5% में डालते रहो. That is a countercyclical capital buffer. And this 2.5% will be maintained as a buffer, will be maintained as a risk buffer, as a capital buffer. और ये रहेगा वही. Then when the cycle turns down and you are in a recessionary period, then this money would be used to infuse into the economy, to put the economy on a recovery phase. So at the boom phase, you have to maintain a CCCB, which can be used for capital infusion in the recessionary period. So that is what we want as a CCCB, countercyclical capital buffer.